Okay, so this is a good bit more advanced than some of the stuff that we were doing in the training last week, but definitely something that can be pretty handy. I thought I would first show you how to pull cell data in a spreadsheet from a cell in one tab. I'm using the term tab just to make things kind of clearer. Remember, Google, in their infinite wisdom, this whole file is a spreadsheet, and then within a spreadsheet you have multiple sheets. So this is sheet 1, this is sheet 2. Sorry about that. So I'm gonna call them tabs as I'm talking, just to be able to keep it straight. So what I've done here is I just threw some numbers into a column just randomly. But keep in mind, this could actually be form responses that are coming in. So if you've got a form that's out there and live, that's where these numbers could be coming from, so we could be adding to that as we go. And then all I've done here is I've taken and put in the function to do the sum, so it's adding that column up, okay? And I did A2 colon A. So what that means is it's not just adding those cells. If I add additional cells, it's going to keep changing this number, because I told it that I want it to go all the way down the column. So anything in that column that has a value in it will be added. And then the other thing I did was right here I did a count A, and then again the same range. So A2 to A. I don't want to count my header. Right, so that's why I made sure I put A2. Otherwise, if you don't have a header, you could just do A colon A, and it'll count the whole column. But again, I don't want to count that. So what that's going to tell me is it's just going to count the number of cells that have something in it. So it's any cell that is not blank is going to be counted. So assuming, like, pretending for a second that this is a form that's got responses coming in, what this is going to tell me is how many responses have we gotten so far, okay? So I've got these two cells with data. I've got my total sum, all right, and then I've got this cell here that has the number of responses that we've collected. Okay, so now I'm going to go to sheet 2, and what I've done here is I'm pulling the data from those cells, this cell and this cell, and I'm pulling them over onto this sheet. Okay, so here's how I did that. It's pretty easy. The function, and again on this sheet that I'm going to be sharing with you, I've given you the function, but the function is just equals, and then the name of that tab. So right now that tab is named sheet 1. Again, it has to be written exactly. If I accidentally put a space in there, for instance, you'll notice it's going to immediately say error, and the reason it's saying that is because it can't find a tab, it can't find a sheet called sheet space 1. Okay, it's got to be exact. So take that space back out and it fixes that. Okay, so it's the name of the tab or name of the sheet, exclamation mark, and then the specific cell that I want to pull over here. So you can see, didn't time this too well. You can see that I had D3, so there's that cell D3 right there. Okay, so that's the one I'm pulling over. And then I did the same thing here, okay, and in fact I just saved myself some time and highlighted that, Control C, came over here, clicked up here in the function box to put my mouse in, and I did Control V to paste that function in, and then what I did was I just edited that cell number so that I was changing it to the right cell to grab the number of responses. Okay, so that's pulling that in, and then what I did down here below that was I just did a quick average by saying, okay, now that I've got those here, I want to divide that cell by that cell, and that'll give me the average. Okay, there are a lot of uses for this kind of thing, especially if you are especially if you are working with forms. To give you an example, in middle school, I helped them set up a parent contact form, and there was one spreadsheet that was collecting all the grade levels. So there was a tab for 6th grade, one for 7th grade, one for 8th grade. And there was a bunch of information that teachers could input through a form, when they made contact, who they talked to, a whole bunch of stuff. And then what they wanted and they needed for the state review process that they're under, they needed to be able to kind of break that information down by grade, and then also as an aggregate for the school. So I created a new tab that was kind of the master data sheet, and then pulled cells from the various sheets for each grade over there, so that they had this one sheet that was kind of tabulating everything that they needed. Okay, just to show you, just to make sure you understand this, what I'm saying. So if you notice, we've got 7 responses so far, 118,000. Again, the beauty of this is if I come over here and I add in some more, okay, you'll notice that number changed and that number changed. So if I pop over to here to sheet 2, and again, that number changed and that number changed. So this is all live. Okay, none of this is static. That's the whole point of using this function and not just copying and pasting, like copying this number and pasting it into sheet 2, is that the information will stay live. So if we make any changes over here on our original data sheet, that'll automatically be reflected in this sheet as well. Okay? So now we're going to take it to the next step, and the next step is, how do we take data out of this spreadsheet and pull it into another spreadsheet, another file entirely? Okay, so that's what I'm going to do here. So I've got another sheet that I started, okay, and what I want to do is I want to pull that average over here. And again, I've given you this information, but I'm going to go ahead and do it live so you can see how it works. So in the function box, I need to type import range, open parentheses, and open quote. And now what I need to do is I need to go to the spreadsheet that I want to use, that I'm trying to pull data from, and I need to get its address, okay, its URL. And I can do that a couple ways. One is I can come here and I can click on share, and I can click on copy link. Okay, so I can paste that in there. The other thing I can do though too is I can actually just come here. This is the cell that I'm trying to pull in, and if I right click on that cell, one of my options in the menu that comes up is get link to this cell. So if I click on that, now I can come over here. Oops, sorry, I don't want to edit down here. I want to edit in the function box, not in the cell itself. So if I put my mouse back up here and click, so my cursor's there, and I do Control V, it's going to paste that. So there's the link to that cell. Okay. So now I'm going to do close quotes. I'm going to do comma, space, open quotes, and I need to give it the name of the sheet, the name of the tab, and the cell that I'm trying to pull in. So again, you've got to make sure that you are getting exactly the spelling. So if I change the name of this, I need to make sure I've changed it in any functions that I have that in too. So this is sheet 2, exclamation, and again, this is just like the same kind of format we just used when we were going from tab to tab in the same sheet, and then the cell. And I can either, one of the advantages of doing the right click and get the link to that specific cell is I can actually see that there's the cell number right there. So instead of having to go back and forth and say what cell was that again, if I've used that, I can just look and see that the cell I'm trying to pull is B7. And then I need to do close quotes, and I need to close parentheses. Now I want you to watch what happens the first time I do this. So when I hit enter to actually move off of this cell, you'll see it says reference, and when I put my mouse over it, this box comes up and it says you need to connect these sheets, and I have to click this blue button that says allow access. So when I do that, now it's pulling that number over, and let's just make sure it's right. 122,961, 122,961. Okay. if I now was pulling another cell from that same sheet, I wouldn't have to do that, allow access thing again. Once the sheets are linked, you're good to go, and you don't need to do that part again. On the topic of access, so again, one of the reasons to do this kind of thing is if this sheet, let's say, is a sheet that has some kind of critical information that you don't want to just have it shared with anybody in the district. You want to make sure that only specific people can get in here and edit it. That's only going to be shared with very specific people, or maybe not anyone. If your information, your data is coming off of a form, then you may not need to share that with anybody else at all. But let's say this second spreadsheet, the second file, is something that you do want to make accessible to other people. You want them to be able to see it. Don't forget that you've got to make sure that you share this sheet. You don't have to share this one. This one can stay private. This one can stay shared to just specific people. This one you can share with anybody you want. You can make it visible to anyone with the link, whatever. They will not have any way to get back to that other spreadsheet. Okay? So hopefully that helps. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to get in touch.